Are the Cleveland Cavaliers real contenders? Now, this might sound like a disrespectful question to Cleveland fans, but you got to understand, we don't, in NBA fans, we don't trust teams until they go and do it. And even then, you got to do it more than once for us to really believe in you. After another win and dominating the Orlando Magic in their gym, Cleveland has already clinched a playoff spot. Like, we're still in February and they've already clinched a playoff spot. It's kind of incredible. But are they really contenders? First, let me know what you think down in the comments. Let's break it down. Now, I want to get this started off by saying that Kenny Atkinson should be in a discussion for Coach of the Year. If he's not, that's a problem. I'm not saying he should win. There are a couple other people you have arguments for, but Atkinson should be at the top of the list, in my opinion. Because the Cavs aren't just winning, they're essentially dominating. And they're beating all the teams that they should beat. So first, we got to talk about how all their players are playing in their roles perfectly. Donovan Mitchell has been just amazing this year, and not because he's scoring crazy amount. I think his playmaking, and this is one of those things that won't really show up in assists, right? Because he's learned how to not just be a scorer. He knows now how to go and get a bucket, but he also knows how to set this guy up so he can get a bucket. And again, it's not like his assist numbers are crazy. I don't even think it's the highest in his career this season. But what he's doing is setting up his teammates where the hockey assists, where he passes it here and that guy passes it there, because he knew if he tried to throw it to the guy that had the open shot, the angle was off, it would have been a turnover. Like smart plays like that. I think it takes scorers, like pure scorers like a Donovan Mitchell, time to figure that out. And that's because your mind is so focused on scoring and getting buckets and getting yours, because that's the thing that gets you to the league. Like if you can't get buckets and score one-on-one like that, and you're not a top tier, he was great at Louisville. I don't want to say he wasn't, but he was so focused on getting buckets. Like remember in a bubble when he was going crazy? You remember that when he was in Utah and he was just putting up crazy, crazy numbers? Like him and Jamal Murray, I think they had that 50-point back and forth. Oh my God, he was going crazy to get buckets for real. Now he scores like that, but it's more efficient. It's smoother. He's not forcing it. And I think his evolution is helping his team tremendously. Same with a guy like Evan Mobley. I think Evan Mobley should be in a Defensive Player of the Year conversation. In my opinion, he's up there. If it's not Triple J out in Memphis, it got to be Mobley. And what's impressive about him as well is not only is he growing on a defensive end, on offense, his bag is crazy now. Like, I remember watching him like 2 years ago, and he always looked so out of place. He looked awkward. Like when he would try to go to the basket or try to make a move, he just didn't look like confident in what he was doing. Now it seems like he's putting more effort to just go off the dribble. Like he'll catch the ball at the wing, pump fake you, and then blow right by a big man. And if you put a smaller guard on him, he's going to just go post up and he can score in there too. So I think Evan Mobley's evolution is helping his team a lot as well. Then you got guys showing up like Ty Jerome. Now, again, if you look at the stat sheet, it doesn't look like anything because he's not out there giving you 35. But he's scoring those key buckets, making those key plays on offense and defense to where you're like, wow, this dude is playing really, really well. And I think that guys like Ty Jerome don't get talked about a lot because he bounced around the league, went to a couple different teams. And this is why I say Kenny Atkinson got to be in the conversation for Coach of the Year because I don't think many coaches are getting this out of Ty Jerome. I just don't think that's happening. Some coaches have the ability to have a player, play to a higher level than what they actually are. That could be what we're seeing with Ty Jerome. For me, I need to see him perform like this in the playoffs. Like, can we come to you in the playoffs, and you give us a couple buckets? Like, if Darius Garland is having a bad game, he's not going crazy. Can you come in and score here or defend this guy there? Like, what can you give us in the playoffs? And that's what I got to see from him. Another thing we got to talk about is his trade. The Cavaliers at the trade deadline, they traded Karis LeVert and Georges Niang for DeAndre Hunter from the Hawks. How they got, and they obviously gave up a bunch of picks and stuff, but like how they got DeAndre Hunter is beyond me. I don't know what Atlanta is doing. I've said this in previous videos. I got to make another video about just the dumpster fire organizations because I got Charlotte, Atlanta, Washington. It's like 5 teams that I hate in the NBA because they are never, ever competitive. Like they haven't been for over 10 years and it frustrates me. I hate it. And so with Atlanta, they just gave away DeAndre Hunter and now he's playing perfectly with this Cleveland team. Like he fits in perfectly. One of those big wings who can score, who's willing to defend, who'll go grab you some rebounds, who's doing everything you want a wing to do. And they already had Mobley and Jared Allen. Like they already had defense. And they add this guy, it's more defense. Like Cleveland took a leap. And it's weird because nobody's talking about it. That's why I call this segment the quietest trade ever. It's like I don't see in ESPN or none of the shows are talking about this trade and how good it made Cleveland. Like, you know how we say teams need depth? That's the depth. They went and got the depth. And obviously, they gave away Karis LeVert and Georges Niang and some picks and stuff. But look at what they got. They got a way better player. It just fits perfectly into what they're doing. When I was watching them play against Orlando, there was a point in the game where DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome were like maybe 2 or 3 points away from outscoring the entire Orlando Magic team by themselves. And I want to be clear, Orlando is not the bum Orlando we seen 10 years ago. Or 10 years ago, they were kind of in the finals. But yeah, 2015 Orlando. No, they're not like that. This Orlando team has Franz Wagner. They got Paolo Banchero. Like Orlando was on a rise before both of those star players got hurt. Like both of them looked like they would be all NBA players. I remember watching Wagner cook the Lakers and rip their heart out, back in like December. And so for Cleveland to walk in there and just dog walk them, and then Garland wasn't even playing. That's insane. That just shows you how much depth this team actually has. Like Cleveland is one of those teams that now has kind of risen. But one thing that scares me with a team like this is sometimes we see them come together. It doesn't work year one or year two. And by year three, it becomes a championship or bust mentality. And I don't want that to be this team because they're a good team, right? Like what they have now is fits so perfectly. They even got the perfect coach. It's hard to get everything right like this. And I think Cleveland is just on the right path right now. So the real question is, can Cleveland handle Boston? Boston is a team they got to beat. They obviously dog walk the Knicks. I don't think they have that much of a problem with the Pacers or pretty much anybody else. Like Detroit will make some noise here and there, but if they focus, I think they can beat Detroit. Boston is that team. They're currently losing the season series to them 1-2. They play them again on the 28th. I'm posting this right before that. I'm going to be sitting on the couch watching that game because I need to see if Cleveland can step up and even this series out before the playoffs come. Because I think with young teams, that season series matters. Like if you played this team 4 times in a season and you lost 3 out of the 4 times, that's going to be in your mind in the playoffs. I think it's impossible to get past that. Maybe the veterans or teams that have already won a championship, they can. But I think stuff like that matters for the younger teams that have less experience. I think Donovan Mitchell has experience. Mobley has a little bit of experience. Y'all remember when Jared Allen said the lights were too bright? That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's why I don't fully trust this Cleveland team to, I don't trust them to get it all there. I don't. So this game against Boston on the 28th is a regular season game, but they should be treating this like a playoff game. All right, my couch hot take of the week. I think Evan Mobley is Defensive Player of the Year. I know some people are going to say it should be JJJ or even Gobert or one of these other guys, but I think it should be Evan Mobley. He's playing most of the games, playing really hard. And one of the things that I don't like about Triple J out there in Memphis, he fouls a lot. I think he's leading the league in fouls. He got to be at least top 5. Like he's always fouling. Mobley is still going to give you that defensive pressure and show up. He can guard the guards. He can guard the bigs. He can rotate on anybody. He's going to block shots, rebound, but he's not going to foul. I know if I put Mobley in the game later, he will commit some fouls, but the way Triple J does it, it's absurd. Like I watched them play the Suns and they got a good overtime win, but no way he should have fouled out of that game. Like every game you watch of Triple J, it's 2 or 3 fouls where you're like, why did you foul him right there? It'll be like a rebound and then he fouls the guy, or the guy's clearly past him and he just fouls him, or he's closing out and he just runs him over. Like it's always something where you're like, what are you doing? He's still committing those fouls in this year, maybe 6th, 7th year in the league. Like he's a rookie. Like rookies do that and you're like, oh, he's a rookie, he's got to learn. You too old for that. You are way too old for that. And Mobley, I just think, is an incredible defender. And I think he raises the defensive level of what Cleveland does, right? When they have Mobley out there, his rotations are perfect. He's like the middle linebacker on their back line, on their front line, right? Like it's harder to get to the rim and just score on Orlando. When they were playing the Magic, Banchero and Wagner kept going to the paint. And every time they get there, They just got to stop. They can't even shoot their usual mid range or turn around to fade away. Mobley's right there. I do think it helps to have Jared Allen on your side as well. That does help. But I just like more of what Mobley is bringing to the game outside of Triple J. So, what do you guys think? Am I crazy? Do you think Mobley is going to win Defensive Player of the Year over Triple J, or is Triple J already won it? I see a lot of the narratives. Also, do you think that the Cavs can beat Boston? Do you think they could beat them in the playoffs this year? Do you have that belief that this Cavs team can go all the way? I'm not even saying win the championship. I mean specifically come out of the Eastern Conference this year. Let me know what you think down in the comments below.